Essentially, it was. It's been raised for me.
Well, before we start,
yeah, go for it.
I don't think I'm going to need to do this,
Yep.
but I've been advised by the Chief Police Officer of Yorkshire Police to record it. Is that okay?
That's fine. I've got my.
Yeah, right.
And
So
you can
we've
by all
all.
means request that.
Yeah, right. Let me just sort that out because I just thought
not,
better
not a
ask.
problem at
But
all.
I don't think I'm going to need to record it.
I don't think you will. To be fair,
But
this
she
is
just said I would be wise to do that. So
no.
sorry about that.
No problem with that. Obviously, like I spoke to you yesterday. So the first thing was the video that's gone up. Now, as I said to you before, we're well aware of what we said directly after that, which is that it wasn't like a serious threat or anything like that.
No, the political Medway, actually, you should be interviewing them about the political Medway are a bunch of hacks. You should be interviewing them about selectively cutting video in order to make the evening more interesting.
I'd agree, and I think that's the media for you, isn't it?
So this is a Joe Brand incident we have in front of us today. Are you familiar with Joe Brand?
I am, but I don't know what particularly you mean.
Nigel Farage got McDonald's thrown at him, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that was because he, it wasn't because, but he had previously been on the record of saying, I'll take a gun out if I don't get what I want. He wasn't arrested. Joe Brand goes on a comedy programme in a context of comedy and said, McDonald's, perhaps they couldn't find some battery acid. And she's a comedian talking about comedy. She's not the leader of a major party. Her words they carry comedy, they don't carry instructions to people to go and do that. And she got hauled over the coals for it. So this is a similar moment, I feel, on a much less significant level.
Massively so. I mean, I think it all comes back to where it stemmed from is the whole Joe Cox incident. I'm sure you're well aware. And from that, you know, my department, which is the community safety unit, anything that can raise community tensions like that is something that we try and nip in the bud sooner rather than later. And obviously it's something that we want to avoid. Now it makes it look like you're maybe inciting something from the comments said if it wasn't for all the context.
That would be true if A, I wasn't a comedic candidate, and B, if I was Boris Johnson or someone whose words carried weight.
I agree, but in that arena, you are treated with the same stead as everyone else. And
are you sure? But yeah, all right, I've got it.
Do you know what, that's my point.
Yeah.
And you know, if things were to be taken in context and in their entirety, there's no issue. But it's the fact that you've obviously been.
So I think you really, honestly, I think you should. I don't want to make this long-winded for you. You've got enough to do. Rehman Chishti has still not dealt with the murder in Gillingham. He's not.
Which one's that?
Which one?
Yeah,
the one.
Which one's
the one which was on the day when he reported this to the police commissioner.
Yeah.
There was murder in Fox Street.
The Fox Street one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was down in the cafe talking to residents about who done it, and he was sitting in his own doing nothing. So, you know, I feel slightly aggrieved that he's trying to make a bit of an example out of this, because particularly it was a satirical. The whole thing was a joke. The whole of not me. I'm not a joke, but my candidacy was a joke. It was plainly so, and so. Getting back to the point, I know you want to move on with your point.
No, that's
I do think that the political Medway people, who I can probably provide you with details should you wish them, and if you could be asked, and I'm not asking you to do it, but if you think that's also a facet of this story, of this dodgy journalism, then I think it's worth having a 5-minute chat with them.
Yeah.
But it's up to you. I'm not telling you. I can't ask. I can't tell you. I'm just saying.
Do you have the details of people affiliated to it? So
I can get them, and I'll get your real phone number because we got it. My wife got it wrong, and I will provide those. I think it's a very light touch because you've got plenty of other things to do.
But do you know what? If we put it in as intelligence, this is the way I always think about it. I can submit an intelligence report, have all that information held on our system. Then later on down the line, should something become relevant,
I think
we've got it. We can progress it rather than then thinking. We should have taken those details. Do you know what I mean?
That they are harmless, I would say, but they because they don't have any outlet for their journalism, they amp it up, which is why we have conversations like this, because the media, or some parts of the media, do amp things up. But they selectively cut that. And that actually is why we're sitting here, because had that not happened,
there wouldn't be an issue.
There wouldn't be an issue, no.
If everything was done in its
entirety. So we look for root causes. The tipping point was that.
And this is part of it, is just making sure that you've got that awareness around.
Oh, I'm totally aware of that.
I know you're going to be, and I know from the fallout that's happened on Twitter and that, clearly you are. But it's just so that we can say, as the people, we've had that discussion with you, so you're aware things will always be taken out of context. The only other matter that I wanted to talk to you about is, and this is another thing that's been raised to us. Now, I don't know the sources of how this is raised to us. My inspectors asked me to talk to you about it. So I've been sent this photo. I think, is that your bicycle?
Yes, that's the head of foamex boards for the Conservative Party took exception to that.
So I was wondering, essentially, there could be the allegation of that you've taken them from somewhere that you shouldn't have.
I did pick them up off the road,
So
in 2017, at the previous election.
So they discarded rubbish, essentially.
I know that doesn't count, because the Chief Police Officer of Yorkshire said you've got this arcane law that says you can't nip into a skip outside a charity shop, you have to ask. But yes, it's discarded rubbish, and I've recycled it.
So essentially, like our concerns would be, say if you locked it off of someone's placard outside their house, it'd be theft. I don't think that it does fall into that, and ultimately we would be looking to progress that.
I think I don't want to hang myself right now or go to Guantanamo Bay for this, or Robben Island, but it is actually theft. Appropriation of stuff from the street without asking is theft.
So theft by finding. Theft by finding.
That's the term I was looking
However, we would require a victim to come forward to present a thing.
I realise that.
Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's you've clearly got people who take issue with your approach. And
this was the head of foamex boards, the man who presumably prints them, took this photograph. And it possibly is him rather than Chishti that's on a mission.
Right.
I don't know, you see, because I don't know who did the tweet, but he raised the matter. So yes, I'm aware of that. I would really rather that the police Chishti has managed to get off with dodgy Saudi arms consultancy. He hasn't dealt with the murder, and and when I was punched and had 2 black eyes and went to hospital, the police were unable. Well, the police did everything they could. Actually, they were very, very good. British Transport Police handled that. They were excellent. However, we did go and see Rehman Chishti to say 9 o'clock Monday night, got no police, because when we called up they said they hadn't got a car. Shouldn't you be dealing with this? And he never, part of my reason why I find him, not personally, I don't know anything about it, but I find he doesn't do a very good job. It's because he hasn't done, there's a long list, which I won't bore you with, of stuff. And I was talking to people last night about this in the pub, and they said, we wrote to him about X, he doesn't write back. And then he says he does.
I can't.
I know you can't. I'm just telling you for info.
But by all means, you can share your view.
So I consider that you're a community police officer, and that probably means you have dealt with some very difficult things. And I consider that that's a worthwhile life to spend. You've probably saved lives. I myself worked on the first human insulin product and the first HIV/AIDS drug to bring it safely to the market. So I consider my life was
quite a contribution.
Was well spent. I went to the same school as Rehman. He was prefect, dib, and he's agreed with everyone at school, and he's agreed with everyone. I don't deny anyone their career choice to be agreeable. So he votes with whoever's in charge all the time, but actually never then serves anyone on his patch. And I believe his job is to do that. As you, obviously a community police officer, I presume that's why you joined. So I don't think his life is worthwhile, and but we're not in a go compare situation. And I've written to him many times, and he simply hasn't answered. Now that doesn't mean that what I did on the night is correct. but it wasn't malintended, clearly.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, this is what happens when people don't actually do their job, that people find that irritable. But I think he's presiding over a lot of trouble for you guys, and that's all I will say. And I really don't wish you that well. We've dealt with the police over 3 years with this Brexit stuff, and every time we've dealt with people in Downing Street and all over the country, we've always been served well, particularly Kent Police and the Met Police.
To hear that.
Well, we were down at the Maidstone Studios the other week, and they're all standing in the cold and what have you. We always have a laugh, and I play them usually a police song. The only time I've ever had any bother with a man from Essex, but that's another story for another time, which we hopefully won't have to have.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's it. It just seems like ultimately, I think with any politics, it becomes that tit and tat, and you've got to put yourself in that. You've put yourself in that sort of limelight, haven't you? And I think you've been...
Not for me personally.
No, but
I go around the world doing consulting. I'm immune from this.
Yeah.
I do it for my children and everyone's children, because I think that... And the toxic culture which they've created will kick you back in the groin, unfortunately. You're going to be very much more busy. I've talked to some people in the Met about it, and we were up there last week when the marauding football fans, not the necessary football fans, but that kind of people, were just setting light to flags and stuff. And the Met just, most of them just hold their heads and think, this is not good. We are a nuisance, absolutely, but we're not harmful. Probably some of the Remain people are actually, but the vast majority of them, that's why we're called snowflakes. We make a bloody nuisance of ourselves, and usually in an entertaining way, but we're not horrible, and there are some very horrible elements that I saw on the street and have seen.
No, you know what? I think it's important that everyone has that opportunity to express their beliefs, and you're doing so with yours, and you shouldn't be persecuted for that, and likewise.
All right, well, thank you for coming round.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, my only advice would be not to sort of say anything that could be construed or could be manipulated.
We have lost our entire sense of humour at this time in the world's history. And
you know, a lot of the time, I do agree with you on a personal note. A lot of things that could have been just dealt with as a flippant thing now are taken seriously and put through a process that doesn't need to be.
So just on a sort of purely sort of mechanical basis, is this going down as on a record of mine?
No, so there's not going to be a crime report or anything like that, because what we have established is essentially that no crime has taken place. Right,
well I will probably let go of the part I was going to say to you, but I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
Because I was actually seriously so annoyed about this, using the police commissioner as his vehicle. Presumably they do lunch together or whatever. He got a load of hate from that, from the public, saying, why don't you phone 101 like a normal person, and various less pleasant versions of that from people I didn't know. He got
that happens way above my pay grade, but
well, he got a lot of hate for it, basically. And I was outraged that he did it on the day that there was this murder. It wasn't the best day to be doing it, let's face it. And he has a track record of not doing stuff that he promises to do. And so I was minded to think that I might just make a report about wasting police time on his part, but that would waste more of your time. So I probably won't. And have you any view? It's just you've got better things to do, haven't you?
Well, that's not something I would like to go around saying, if you know what I mean, because we take everyone's.
No, but you have. I'll say it to you. You've got better things to do.
Okay, I'll take that.
I will agree with that. And
how this is being treated essentially is we've had this sort of complaint. As I say, I generally don't know where that's come from exactly. I can make assumptions, but I don't know.
No, neither of us know.
And my inspector's gone through it, and at points of law explained why there is not a crime there. Therefore, we will not record a crime. But as a way of talking to you, giving you the chance to say your side of it.
No, I really appreciate that.
Whilst it's not a big thing, you're yourself and other people in the spotlight where it can be made into a big thing.
Oh,
particularly by the media.
I'm deeply aware of that. We got arrested with a Mini with bollocks to Brexit on it in Essex the other week because the bloke didn't like it personally.
Yeah.
He didn't actually know the law, and I corrected him. He didn't like that even. He liked that even less.
I imagine so. Yeah.
And then 250,000 people tweeted the video I made of him saying remove the stickers on the motorway. On the motorway. He'd forgotten. He was at work by this time. He just didn't like it. And the Essex police are still wriggling because they apparently can't identify him.
Okay.
I said it's Sergeant S. Smith 2512. His number plate is this. He's from Chingford, but they're still saying they can't find him. I offered to send Columbo down. You know, what can you do? You know, try to be helpful.
Yeah,
Anyway, I will now tell you that I'm not going to waste your time on this. But if I hear any more from Chishti, I might reserve the right to change that view.
That's fair enough.
I may well, will there be anything written up about it? Will you write to him? Will you write to me?
I'm going to write back to my inspector about our
But it
conversation.
won't come back to him or me then?
I don't believe that should be. Come back on you or come
No,
back.
come back to you saying we've had a chat. With these points were agreed.
I don't know, to be honest. If he's made the complaint, because to be honest, he's not a victim.
No.
Therefore, we would have no obligation to inform him of an outcome.
So you probably won't. No. Okay, right.
I would say so, but like I say, because I don't know.
If
his
you
report,
do,
it's difficult. Yeah.
I would like to see a copy of that.
Yeah.
Of your response to him.
Yeah.
Just to seal that off. And I will reserve the right to waste your time, but I'm probably 99% sure I won't.
That's fair enough. But yeah, I'll put that request in the email to my inspector.
Just to sort of clear that up. You've got it all on there.
It is here.
And that's it. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for your time, because it just kind of lets us stop and tell that and move on.
You have got plenty more things to do. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you for your time.
Cheers.
Okay,